brand new episode here on Sunnyside Up Farms. How are you all doing? Hopefully you're all having a good day and everything is going very well. As you can see, and as you could probably tell from the thumbnail, this is a little bit of a David Brown special. So we have got David Brown, two more David Browns, another David Brown, and then these two here as well. Yes, this is celebrating the 88 years of English engineering from 1936 to 1988, when David Brown's finally finished production. And I think it, well, I don't think, I know it was the 1210 that was the final David Brown tractor to roll off the production line in Yorkshire, in Huddersfield. The David Brown factory that is now a museum is still there. I'm hoping to go there this year. I was meant to go before it opened, and then they started to do some renovations and different things, and so it meant that I didn't quite get, unfortunately. But I am hoping to go because it has now reopened. So and they're doing that in preparation for the 90th celebration, which is in 2 years' time. So yeah, they've got planned works which took a bit longer this year to finish. So the factory opened, or the museum, I guess. No. Ah, pressing the wrong one, that was why. Yeah, so what a wally. As I say, so it took a little bit longer than expected, but the factory is now reopened, so I am hoping to get the factory, as far as I'm aware, and as far as I've been told by the lovely lady that I've been talking to on the phone. The factory is only open on the museum, sorry, is only open on a Sunday. But please check before holding me to that. Nice one, mate. Hold on. So yes, as you can see, this is not a great way of doing it. The biggest problem, we've got the crowd in, so the locals have come out and decided to come and watch the David Browns in action. We've got our two other David Browns marking the entrance, which is really nice. And as I say, the local town have come out and in support of the David Browns. It's absolutely fantastic to see these tractors out in the fields. Now, they're not all mine, as we all know. I've got two 1210s and then the other two that you see at the entrance there. So these are neighbours and people with fully restored David Browns within the local area. Pretty much other farms in the area that have got them still left over, because as with, I would say, pretty much most of the country, but out here in Lincolnshire, Norfolk and Cambridgeshire, very much the tractor of choice back in the day, in the late 60s, in the late 30s and beyond, up until really John Deere. I guess the reason why David Brown eventually went out of business was they just could not cope with how fast, not only John Deere but Massey Ferguson and on all the other manufacturers were, sort of developing their tractors. One interesting fact that I did manage to find out was that so Massey Harris and was his name John Ferguson or Harry Ferguson? No, it was Massey Harris. And anyway, the Ferguson side of Massey Ferguson, the Ferguson side of it, David Brown, he is actually a real person, as probably most of you all know, hence the name of the tractors, the David Brown. Well, it was the very first David Brown that ever came off the production line was actually a Ferguson Brown, or I think it was Ferguson Brown, or it might have been Brown Ferguson. And ironically enough, they were red and not brown at all. It's full now. That is the only way. The thing with doing it this way is the trailers fill exceptionally quickly. So it does mean that this episode, unfortunately, is going to be a lot of me doing this, but I can't do it any other way. If the tractors on auto drive recognised the harvesting tractor or the harvester as a harvester, I wouldn't need to do this. They would literally just keep driving to me. When I use for example, the Grimmy GT 170, the actual tractors and trailers will recognise that harvester, and they will just keep driving to it and then unloading from the harvester until they're full, and then they'll just drive off, and then the next one will come alongside and they will load, and they'll just keep going on that. But unfortunately, that harvester, and I have tried one or two little things in the XML, but I've clearly not been able to figure it out to what makes them register. As I say, that this is a harvester, and that they really should need to be coming here by themselves. But anyway, as I say, there's not much I can do, but I wanted to do this little special just because David Brown's played a very important part in my early farming career, in terms of it's where I learned a lot of my tractor driving, from about the age of about 8 or 9 onwards, not only with my granddad, but also, I often talk about, or I have talked about in the past, my mum working on a bulb farm, and the owner of that farm, David, absolutely fantastic chap. And as I say, I used to go to work in summer holidays with my mum while she was ball picking, and I used to just sort of sit on the tractors and pretend I was driving and different things. And then one day, as I say, I was probably about 8 or 9, and David came over and said, I bet you'd like to actually drive these, wouldn't you, young man? And I looked at him completely gone out, and the next thing I know, I'm driving a David Brown down the field, and that's how I learned to start driving tractors. And I used to drive the tractors with the flatbed on the back, where he would stand on the back of the flatbed, just chucking the boxes off for Mum and the other 2 ladies that were picking with my mum, picking the bulbs with my mum. And as I say, that was pretty much how we carried on. And so David Browns do mean a lot to me. And then when I worked on the first farm, obviously the first farm had a 996 and 885. They had the big one that I've got over there on the farm as well, though that did go the autumn that I joined, so I didn't actually get to drive that one, unfortunately. I got to have a ride on it, but I didn't actually get to drive it. And it's sort of one thing that I wish I had of sort of not necessarily been in system with, because I don't think I would have needed to have been in system, but I wish I'd have asked if I could have a go with it, because as I say, it's a very nice tractor. It's the one just sitting just up there, the big one. And as I say, I sort of kind of do wish that I'd as I say, managed to have had a drive in. But yeah, all told, as I say, it was very good, very, very good. And I just, as I say, although it's going to be a bit faffy and fiddly and everything else, I did want to do this for David Brown, like I say, and the hope is, as I just said a minute ago, that I will actually get within the next month or 2. I will actually get to the David Brown Museum. Unfortunately, it's in the middle of, or pretty much in the middle of Huddersfield, and I'm not very confident at doing motorways and driving in cities. So what I'm proposing to do at the moment, I'm trying to work out a way. Can't do that, James, because he's on follow me. I'm hoping to find a way of getting from the train station to the museum, or what was the factory but is now the museum. But yeah, it's nice to see the locals have come out, hence the reason why we planted a little bit of grass in here, just to make sure that as I say, they ooh. you don't expect to see that. Morning, Herb. Well, yeah, afternoon now. Yeah, so that's where we're at. But anyway, I've probably said a little bit too much, and I will speak to you again soon, because we are now going to have to wait for a trailer. As I say, that is the only issue with doing it this way, is that because they don't recognise that as a harvester, I can fill a trailer very, very fast with it. But as I say, we'll just wait for a trial. I think there's one coming back now. Look. So as I say, without further ado, I'm going to switch over to a little bit of time lapse, just so as I'm not going. I did contemplate doing this video as a chatty video and talking about David Brown, talking about my experiences and blah 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 blah. But the kind of sort of feedback that I've been getting from chatty videos is that they're not as popular as what perhaps I thought they were. And so therefore, obviously I'm trying to increase my views and ultimately my subscribers, and if people are not digging them, then I'm not going to do them. The other thing to note as well is that the videos might not, I don't know for definite yet, but they might not come 5 days a week now. Again, I think the mistake I made in the very beginning when I first started doing YouTube was that I thought, basically I was naive and I was stupid, and I'm quite happy to hold my hands up to the fact that I was naive and stupid, and I thought, YouTube, I'll do it, sort of 7 days a week, subscribers like that, views like that, people will love it. And sadly they don't. Now, whether I was naive, whether I'm not that good at YouTube or whatever, I don't know. I do it my way, because it's my way, and I don't really know any other way of doing it, and what have you. So until the views really do pick up, I'm probably going to go down to about 3 days a week in terms of farm sim YouTube videos. 1 or 2 series may well disappear because they're just not being watched. And for anyone that has done a YouTube video on farm sim will appreciate how long they take to do. And if they're not being watched, and it's taking me, sometimes it takes me, especially, if sort of my heart's struggling or whatever on a particular day, it can take me up to a day and a half to do one video, and then to only get 10 views. It's a bit disheartening, and it's a little bit kind of, not worth it, but the effort that has to go into it, it's like, and maybe every day is too much. I watch other YouTubers that, do, maximum sort of 2, a video to 2 videos a week. And it's a case of, just sort of, well, hang on, and I've spoken to them about it, and I've spoken to them about it, and of course they said to me, I will go and do, you know, sort of 4, 5, 6, 7 videos a week, when I get the views, I'm only getting, you know, 30, 40, 50 views per video. So therefore a couple of, you know, weeks, so I'm just going to sort of just trying things. But also it does free me up to do other stuff as well, because the one thing I have kind of been really surprised about is how well my Royal Norfolk video, oh, I've done it. I've done that. Damn it! Sorry, I get really cross with myself. Right. Let's see if I can just sort that out. There we go. I know that doesn't look very good, but I might even cut that out. But yeah, so I will, as I say, I will, it will free me up to do other stuff, and a little bit more real life stuff, and you know, because as I say, I have kind of been a bit shocked at how well they've done, you know, considering that was something I'd never really done before, or hadn't done before, and you know, those videos have gone on to get, you know, well over 750 views each. The Royal Norfolk one has brought in, you know, I think 7, 8 subscribers, maybe 9 subscribers. The PX Farm ones, you know, that brought in 3 or 4 subscribers as well. So, and when you compare that, those 2 videos to my last sort of 10, 15 farm sim videos, you know, those last sort of 10, 15 videos have brought, well, if we do 15 videos, they've brought in 2 subscribers. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. You know, sometimes you just have to accept that perhaps you don't record that interesting stuff. Maybe it's my editing skills, maybe it's just people don't relate to me. I don't know, you know, I don't know, and it's not me having a go at myself, you know, it's just the way the world is, and you have to adapt, and you have to find you know, alternative avenues. You know, if a river finds one way blocked, it will start carving out another way, you know, to get to, you know, its end source. And you know, that's maybe what I've got to do, or just give it time, I don't know. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say on it, because you know, I don't want people to kind of sort of think, you know, oh, poor me or any, because I'm not doing a, you know, a poor me bit here. You know, I'm just saying it as it is, because that's what in life people don't do enough of. They don't say it how it is. You know, I don't beat about the bush. You know, if I'm not very good, I'm not very good. You know, if I'm brilliant, I'll say I'm brilliant. You know, if something's really, I'm, you know, and the other thing as well is that, and I think what a lot of people sort of kind of as well don't realise when you do YouTube videos is stuff like this. I really love stuff like this. This is my type, but I think I'm worried that other people will find this sort of stuff boring, because if I'm honest, I would run this, if this was a sort of save game I was playing for myself, I would have this as a veg farm. I would not be doing combinable crops, just because everybody does combinable crops on YouTube. So I you know, I would do veg crops, but I don't think you know, sort of the majority of people would appreciate it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm off to do a little bit of time lapse. So I'll see you in a bit. Right, I'm back. And for whatever reason, he's decided to stop. Nope, he's decided to quit. Like, literally, you've just watched me being, playing this absolutely fine, no issues, no nothing or ever whatsoever, and then suddenly it's kind of like it just decides to quit on me. So let's try that again. Don't know why that happened, unless maybe it's a key combo with my microphone and the settings, and maybe the computer got confused of what I was actually trying to do. I don't know, but anyway, we're getting on fantastically well, as you've been seeing. We've got quite a bit more to do, so I don't know as if we're going to get it all done in the episode, because there is still quite a lot to do. But we've taken, as you've seen, one tractor and trailer out now of the actual lineup of tractors and trailers, and that one tractor being taken out has kind of freed up the getting clogged up at the ends. The other thing as well that I would say is, and you can do this because the auto drive doesn't recognise this as a harvester, so you can do it on this setting. For those of you that might want to try and recreate this yourselves, I don't know what you would want to, but because but I think it's very enjoyable. Using the David Browns. I have been sat here kind of thinking to myself, right, I think we are going to have a save where we only use David Brown tractors, because I absolutely, as I say, they mean so much to me, because it's where I learnt to drive tractors and to start to do little jobs and sort of different things like that, and where as well, we'll just make sure that they both do get out of each other's way, which they don't. I knew that was going to happen. Right. Oh, are you going to clear yourselves? Sorry, mate, I didn't mean to bump into you there, nearly. Well, that's alright, because we can do that, and then do that, and then you should be able to drive past each other. Yes. I just love the fact that in Farming Sim, you have to, magically pull the tractors one to the side. But anyway, it works and it keeps the game going. So yeah. But yeah. So as I say, I was kind of thinking that I might have to do a save myself. But if you are using this beet harvester and different things, there is a little trick that I've discovered whilst doing the time lapse. So this, as you all know, is Vintage Oaks. As you all know, with Vintage Oaks, I do have to reset the thing, the follow me, just because although it wouldn't be obvious to you, but we had a little issue. We had a power cut. I lost the game, so I've just literally reloaded the game back in, and I'm having to sort of go around and reset everyone, but we'll get in there. Yeah, so if you so as you know, this, as I say, Vintage Oaks, it came with a auto drive, like what you install in your save game, and you sort of saves, sort of idiots like me having to try. One thing I will say about the auto drive really, really quickly is if I had done it myself, I wouldn't have had track, because lanes on, and I say this with what the people who did the auto drive courses did was unbelievable, right? Because I would have been able to create auto drive courses from fields to farm, right? No problem. But I wouldn't have been able to have created all of the other auto drive courses, like from farm to sell points and different things like that. And so it really, really helps, right? But in creating the field to farm courses, because, and again, this is no, no sort of dig or sly, comment towards the map maker, who did an absolutely brilliant job, and he's recreated a real area, so he can only do what is already there in real life, but the lanes are very, very narrow, which doesn't really collate to having a very good sort of auto drive experience. So the one thing I would have done when creating the courses from field to sort of farm and silos is I would have made sure that the tractors going to the farm were not on the same course as the tractors coming from the farm back to the field. I would have had those running on a circuit. This map has more than enough roads and more than enough, as I say, roads and stuff like that. Why are you not starting? Ah, because you're on auto drive, that's why. For you to be able to, have a circuit so that they don't actually meet, because for large parts when you start to own a lot of the map and you start to do big farming where you're having multiple sort of harvest jobs being done at once. The tractors on the same course for the same field are always meeting, and so then the other tractors on the other courses for the other harvesters are always meeting. So that's the only thing I would have done different, but that's just sort of me in preference, really. But yeah, anyway, as I say, just a quick update. It was just a sort of just to let you know, I had a bit of a power cut, so that's why the time lapse was cut just a little bit shorter than what it should have been. But we're still going, and as I say, we've got sort of that much to do now, because I think I wasn't really paying attention. I think that's the last. It is indeed. So we'll be going down this bit here, and then we'll be moving a little bit further over and starting a new land. So I'm trying not to make the lands as ridiculously huge, because it will help to just sort of keep the flow a bit better. But yeah, so anyway, as I say, back to some time lapse and back to making sure that we get our sugar beet harvest in. So I will see you all in a bit. Bye for now. So I'm back, and we're very nearly finished, which is handy because I've run out of time on the episode. So there really isn't that much more to do now. As I say, we have done all of this field in this episode pretty much, apart from the last bit that's remaining. And to be fair, it's gone a heck of a lot better than what I kind of sort of not feared, but I did envisage quite a lot of this sort of kind of going wrong. But it's actually gone very well, and I've really enjoyed it. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it too. As I say, it's just a little bit of a nod, towards David Brown and the fact that, back in the sort of certainly in the 70s and 80s and the 90s when I grew up, a lot of the farms around where I lived, were David Brown, and as I said, many times in this video, it's the tractor that I learned to, do all of my sort of tractor driving skills on, really. As I say, it's where I learn. But so I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the little bit of history that I also gave, during the at the beginning. And if you want to know more history, yes, you can look it up. Or if you want me to do a video, where I sort of talk about the history of David Brown, where it started, where it kind of started going wrong, I guess, as well for them. But as I say, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Now, very quickly, so in the bit in the middle where I cut in and we did a little recap, and I said, I was talking about auto drive and a little bit of a tip. So, and then I didn't give you the tip for whatever reason. So because auto drive doesn't recognise this sugar beet harvester as a harvester, what you can do is if you come into your auto drive that you get with the game, with the map, sorry. So we're in field 156, right? So you can have, as I've got, 2 tractors on 156 and 2 tractors on 156 tractor waypoint, right? Now, I've now only got 1 tractor on that particular course, and what happens is, not entirely, but it does stop the bottleneck there. And I also swapped this tractor over in the order with the other tractor, and that now has sort of stopped the bottleneck. So that's just something that you can do, to try and sort of help alleviate them all getting stuck and colliding together at the same point in the field. So it's not much of a tip, is it? I realise that, but it's kind of helped me during this recording session. So take it from Mr. Jimmy D for free. Whether more than likely you won't use it, and more than likely you've all come up with a much better solution, or I'm misunderstanding something. But with the auto drive. But yeah, anyway, as I say, it's just something that I've found. But as I say, I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of a nod towards an iconic British tractor that was on many a farm. As I say, certainly in the 70s and the 80s, and then in the early 90s. But by the mid 90s, David Browns were being replaced, either by really in my area I'm talking about, either by John Deere or Case, and now the John Deeres in my area have all been replaced by Vents and Valtras. That's pretty much all the tractors you see around here now. It's either Vents or Valtras. You don't really see much of any other brand around here. There's still quite a lot of John Deere tractors as well, but I would say that Vent and Valtra have become the norm of what I see going past the window every day. There are still, as I say, a couple of farms that are still very loyal to John Deere, but I think it is fastly wearing thin. But anyway, I'm going to leave this episode here, so thank you all ever so much for watching. As I said, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, why not hit that thumbs up button? And more than that, if you also have enjoyed this, not only this episode or this series, but all the other stuff that I do on YouTube as well, then why not hit that subscribe button? It really does help. I'm a small channel, really does help, and it honestly, for someone like myself that doesn't have very much confidence in themselves, every time I get a subscriber, it's just a little boost, and it's just another reason. It's an extra incentive to get recording and to keep doing what I do. So yeah, thanks ever so much, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.